On the news, and bad governance protest continues nationwide for second day. Military vows to deal with looters, promises to restore law and order. And Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu urges residents to ignore Igbo must go protest. Many thanks for joining us on the news on TV 360 Nigeria. I'm Tamlore Akinkole. We begin with Lagos, where Nigerians have again stormed the streets for the End Bad Governance demonstration on day 2 of the protest at the commercial city as activities picked up gradually. On Friday, August the 2nd, the protesters assembled outside the Ganifawemi Peace Park at Ojota, Lagos on Friday, demanding better living conditions amid the nation's economic crisis. Now, our correspondent Sidney Okafor completes the story.
As early as 7 a.m. on Friday, the youth-led protesters converged outside the Ganifawemi Freedom Park in Ojota. Amid the heavy security presence, chanting anti-government songs and carrying branded placards, they continued their call to the government, demanding urgent action to address pressing issues of hunger and economic hardship in the country.
Protesters arrived as early as 7 a.m. and have conducted themselves cordially and friendly, trying to organize peacefully as they did yesterday. They even extended cordiality to the police and have been holding speeches, just speaking to the issues. Up until a few moments ago, we saw thugs almost hijack this protest. I say thugs because they were clear about their intent. They told me specifically, and also told some newsmen, pressmen like yourself here and a presswoman, that one day they are going to behead them for the role they play in covering the agitations of citizens.
The protest has been extremely peaceful, very, very peaceful. We've conducted ourselves in one of the most organized manner. We didn't allow even provocations from suspected agent provocateur to derail us. We commend the Nigerian people, male, female, young, old, who came out despite all the threats, despite the intimidation, despite the court's judgment that the regime, extracted on the eve of the protest, confining us to 2 parks, the park here and the park in Ketu. Despite everything, including the use of the traditional horo to scare people, people still came out and peacefully expressed their displeasure.
We are long overdue for protests. Yes, nothing is working. Nothing is absolutely working in Nigeria. Nothing. Is it the food stuff you want to talk about? Yeah. I have 3 kids in the university. Before now, I give them 20,000 monthly for feeding. But today, I give them 70,000 each. Look at the hike. Nothing has been added to my salary. Nothing has been added to my husband's salary. So for the 3 of them, instead of giving them 60,000 feeding for a month, that is how much? At 70 per child. You can just imagine.
As the demonstration progressed, the protesters re-echoed their refusal to restrict to confined spaces.
I do not agree with the judgment of that court, but I'm restrained and I have no option than to still abide by it. Because if I do not abide by it, it means that we are enshrining and enthroning the rule of we are going against the rule of nature.
It was necessary that we spoke directly with the Commissioner of Police. For the past 2 days, members of our group have had some form of communication with the Commissioner of Police regarding what we have observed, one of which is the incessant arrest of protesters in Lagos State. In fact, I can confirm to you that between Sunday and today, several persons have been picked up in different parts of Lagos, and we have had to engage the State Police Command to secure their release.
While addressing the protesters, The Commissioner of Police in Lagos, Adigoke Fayode, called for cooperation throughout the demonstration, saying their safety remains top priority.
Express their protests and other things they want to express. And they have been here, but they expressed the view that they don't want to go into the protest, park, because of some reasons they adduce. And since we are within and around the park centers, I've asked them to remain on the service lane and do their protest, and they have been doing it peacefully.
Reacting to the situation, the Lagos state government has appealed to the youths to jettison the idea of continuing the protest, assuring residents of its readiness to address their demands. Sydney Okafor, TV 360, Lagos.
Let's now get another situation report from one of our correspondents, Chidi Igwe, who was also on the street of Lagos to observe the protests.
We've come to the end of the second day of the End Bad Governance protest in Nigeria. Now, earlier today, protesters converged at the Gani Faromi Park, where I am situated, at the Ojota axis of Lagos in Nigeria, to express their grievances. There was a little bit of pandemonium when some people suspected to be anti-protesters came around to try to force protesters into the Gani Faromi Park, which the protesters were not having. There was a little bit of an uproar, like I said earlier, but we thank God for the Nigerian police force who brought things down to normalcy. Going further, the Assistant Commissioner of Police addressed protesters, thanking them for their mannerism of carrying a peaceful protest, and still pleaded with them to move into the Gani Faromi Park, which again, protesters refused for the single reasons being that they still felt unsafe being put in a confined area because of the earlier uproar. Legal practitioners also came around to offer pro bono services to protesters who by chance got arrested trying to exercise their franchise. The CP, Commissioner of Police for Lagos State, also came around, walked around, inspected everything, talked to both protesters and the law and the members of the legal practitioners who came around. Well, this is it at the Gani Faromi Park at the second day of the End Bad Governance protest in Lagos State, Nigeria. I am Chidi Igwe reporting for TV 360 Lagos, Nigeria.
Meanwhile, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has issued a stern warning against looters exploiting the End Bad Governance protest to cause destruction, calling the level of damage on the first day crazy. Speaking at a press conference in Abuja, General Musa emphasized that the armed forces will not tolerate the continuation of such action, urging Nigerians to understand the government's effort and global economic challenges. He reassured peaceful protesters that their messages have been received by all levels of government and warned against allowing troublemakers to incite further chaos. The military, he said, remains on standby to support the police and will act professionally against those caught engaging in criminal activities, including identifying and prosecuting sponsors behind the looting.
Clearly, the security forces have done extremely very well, especially the Nigerian police force, have shown a lot of professionalism, including where members of the armed forces had to step in. But you can see that we have remained very professional in our conduct and will continue to do that. What we saw yesterday was, at the beginning, some semblance of a very peaceful demonstration, but which was quickly taken over by a bunch of criminals that don't mean us well. And if you remember, we have warned, there are individuals that are actually sponsoring them, pushing them to do these things. We're going after them. But the truth I can tell Nigerians is that everybody should be calm, everybody should be open-minded in what's going on, give us information as quickly as possible. I want to appreciate those that have been doing that, and that has greatly assisted us in doing what we're doing.
Inspector General of Police Kaide Ekbetokun has also condemned the recent wave of protests, which has led to mass uprising, looting, and destruction of properties. Some protesters attempted to take over government buildings while trying to express their discontent with the hardship under President Bola Tinubu's administration. Now, in a live broadcast addressing the situation, Ekbetokun announced that all police units have been placed on high alert to ensure public safety. He reported widespread looting of public and private warehouses and facilities fatalities and noted incident of unprovoked attack on security personnel in the areas, including the FCT, Kaduna, Kano, and Gombe states.
Those who were in the forefront of promoting the idea of the protest were not around to lead it. Hoodlums have been let loose on innocent Nigerians and their hard-earned businesses and property looted and destroyed. The motive of the rioters was basically two: loot and destroy both private and government property. The destruction so far has been mind-boggling. There has been destruction in Kano, Borno, Yobe, Kaduna, Gombe, Bauchi, FCT, Abuja, Niger, and Jigawa. Police stations have been destroyed. There have been attempts to take over government houses, looting of government infrastructures. Several warehouses and shops so far have been looted and in several instances completely destroyed. In spite of the refusal of the protesters, for instance in FCT, to adhere to a court order requesting that protests in Abuja should be at the National Stadium, they trooped into the streets, and yet the police provided security for them. At no point did we breach their fundamental rights, even as they breached court orders. In places like FCT, Kaduna, Kano, and Gombe, among others, we recorded incidents of unprovoked attacks on our security personnel, where one policeman has been reported murdered and others seriously injured. We alerted earlier that terror elements may take advantage of the protest to infiltrate the crowd of protesters with suicide bombers. Yesterday in Lagos, our EOD team was informed of a suspected IED on Bakantoni Way, Ikeja. The team responded swiftly and rendered safe what turned out to be an improvised explosive device, IED. Today in Borno State, we recorded another incident of explosion, which occurred in the crowd of protesters, killing 4 instantly and severely injuring 34 others, many of whom are presently on danger list. We wish to advise law-abiding citizens of Nigeria to heed and not dismiss warnings given by the police and other security agencies, which were based on credible and actionable security intelligence. In the light of the current situation, the Nigerian Police Force has placed all units on red alert. Our officers are fully mobilized and prepared to respond swiftly and decisively to any further threats to public safety and order.
Still on the protest, the Nigerian Bar Association granted free legal services to protesters nationwide on Thursday as citizens across the country came out to protest concerning the high cost of living. Now, earlier on, I spoke with legal expert Buhari Yusuf and I asked him his thought on this ongoing protest and on the announcement made by the NBA offering free legal services for protesters whose fundamental rights may be breached.
Before answering your question, I would like to ask this rhetorical question. Whether indeed the mood of the nation as it is today is amenable or sustainable to any protest, giving into consideration our security, our economic instability, our political issues. I wouldn't want to be dragged into this legalistic conversation. I am more in tandem with the survival of the country, the survival of the nation as it were. Whether indeed, I agree, we need to have protests, which is an inseparable, integral part of democratic norms. Nobody doubts about this. But you see, there are times and there is time for everything in any given society. Like I said at the beginning, protest is a catalyst for progress. But does protests develop a country alone? No. It has to be supported by certain deliberate, sustained culture of patience, perseverance, and deliberate effort to bring about development. So I think with what happened yesterday, and then the possibility of other things to happen today, I don't think perverted legalism is the way out there. We should be thinking of a country first and where we are. Whether indeed protest as is organized with a faceless content, without context, and without proper background that can provide responsibility, are we in the right place?
Okay, lastly, before I let you go now, before the commencement of the protest, several courts in different states had restricted the protesters to confined demonstration, but the protesters acted against the order. Now, what do you make of this?
Even against court orders, and like I said, I've discussed this with a lot of my colleagues, however bad court order is, you are forced by the power of law to abide and to respect that court order until it is vacated by a competent court. One, our elders that have experienced a lot of these things come out to discuss these issues. But the problem, like I said, is this. There are no leaders that come out, as we had in 2000, and I cannot remember very well, but when the President Buhari, Bakari and the rest of them were part of the protest. We had leaders. They had a press conference. They were not just leaders. They were seen. And they were ready to take responsibility for anything that could have happened. So with that, at least, you will have a partner to discuss with. But in this situation, nobody is willing to come out and admit and agree that indeed I'm the sponsor, or I am the organizer, or we are the organizers of this protest. There lies the dangerous pattern that we should avoid.
Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has condemned and dismissed the social media post calling on Igbo people to leave Lagos and the southwest region of Nigeria. The post shared by an Ando on Twitter also announced a planned protest under the hashtag Igbo Must Go from August 20th to 30th, 2024. Now, in a statement issued by Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Boyega Koshile, Governor Sanwo-Olu emphasized that the Lagos State government does not support the divisive statement and said Lagos remains home to every Nigerian citizen regardless of their ethnic nationality. The governor condemned the post as an attempt to create discord between the Yoruba community in the southwest and other tribes, particularly those who have made Lagos their permanent homes. He urged citizens not to succumb to provocations aimed at causing unrest in the state. We'll go on a short break here, but coming up on the rest of the news, CPPE appeals to suspension of protest as it cripples Nigeria's economy. Details of the story after this break.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
When you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On Digi 360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians have said in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
Digi 360, dissecting the issues.
Welcome back. Now, here's a recap of our top stories. As the protest enters its day 2, reports indicate that incidents of violence have decreased in some states. However, the Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa has condemned looters exploiting the End Bad Governance protest, describing the initial damage as crazy. In a press conference in Abuja, General Musa assured that the armed forces will not permit further destruction and emphasized the government's ongoing effort amid global economic challenges. He urged peaceful protesters to remain calm and warned against troublemakers inciting chaos. We also informed you that the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has condemned the social media post urging Igbo people to leave Lagos and the southwest region and promoting a protest under the hashtag Igbo Must Go from August 20th to 30th, 2024. In a statement by Special Advisor of Media and Publicity, Goyiga Kosile, Sanwo-Olu said that the Lagos State government does not endorse the divisive message, reaffirming that Lagos is home to all Nigerians, regardless of ethnicity. Now, in case you missed any of the news bulletin or for more updates, you can catch us on Limus World TV and AVO TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery, and Apple Store. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online. It's now time for business news. Enjoy. Uche James on standby. Over to you, Joy.
Thank you, Tamilore, and welcome to business news. Now, no fewer than a dozen persons were killed and the economy in disarray as markets, banks, and businesses shut on the first day of hunger protests in Nigeria. This comes as the police confirmed that several government and private properties were severely damaged after rioters went on a rampage in at least 10 states in Nigeria. According to reports on Thursday, protesters hit the streets of major cities nationwide against ravaging hunger and hardship in Nigeria. The demand by the protesters was #EndBadGovernance, which has led to worsening economic hardship amid soaring prices of food and commodities. The National Bureau of Statistics revealed that the core and food inflation stood at 34.19% and 40.87% respectively. Now, the interest rate stood at 26.72% Naira to dollar exchange rate at 1,570 Naira as of Thursday. And still on business, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, says that its $220 million penalty on WhatsApp and its parent company, Meta Platforms Incorporated, is a positive step towards a fairer digital market in Nigeria. FCCPC disclosed this via its X page on August 1st, 2024, representing its latest comments on the operation of social media giants in Nigeria. The FCCPC also said that any claim by WhatsApp that it may be forced to exit Nigeria due to the recent order appears to be a strategic move aimed at influencing public opinion and potentially pressuring the FCCPC to reconsider its decision. According to a previous report by Newsman, the FCCPC had imposed a $220 million penalty on Meta Platforms Incorporated over alleged discriminatory practices against Nigerian data and consumers. We'll take a short break and return with stock market reports. Welcome back. Nigeria's equities market on Friday, August 2nd, recorded its first positive close this week, rising by 0.4%. Now, more investors bought stocks of Okumu Oil Palm, May and Baker, Owando, Total Energies, and United Capital as half-year earnings season peaks. Now, Kumu Oil Palm led the gainers with a 10% share price appreciation, closing at 320 naira, followed by Owando. Now, at the end of the last weekday of trading on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, a total of 210 million volumes of shares were exchanged in 6,603 deals, corresponding to a market value of 3.9 billion naira. Now, when you compare this with the previous NGX trading day, today's data shows 63% decline in volume, 54% decline in turnover, and 3% decline in deals. Now, on the global front, weak U.S. data reaffirmed investor worries on Friday, fueling a sell-off in global equities and pressuring U.S. Treasury yields to multi-month lows. And it was a similar case as well for UK's FTSE and the Japan's Nikkei, as they all ended in the bearish territory. Now, switching over to Forex, the Naira dipped further to trade at 1,610 Naira to a dollar on the black market. The British pound also experienced a dip to trade at 2,075 Naira, while the euros changed slightly to trade at 1,740 Naira to a dollar. That wraps up our business and stock market reports. Back to you, Tammy, for the rest of the news.
Thank you for that update, Joy. Now, on the global scene, Turkey's interior minister says the 99 suspected members of the Islamic State jihadist group have been detained in a recent raid across the country. The arrests were made mainly in Ankara and in the west, as well as in the center, east, and south. Turkish authorities have made several mass arrests of alleged ISIL members in recent years, most recently a roundup of 147 people announced in March. After those arrests, the minister said police had detained a total of 2,919 people suspected of links to the jihadist group. Still on the global scene, a fire ripped through a building in the Philippines' capital, Chinatown, on Friday, killing 11 people, authorities said. According to a witness, flames leapt out of the upper floor windows of a 5-story mixed-up building in Manila's district. More than 30 fire trucks were also rushed to the scene, getting the morning blaze under control about 2 hours later, the City Fire Bureau said. Now, rescue personnel later found the bodies of 11 people in the upstairs of the residential unit. And finally, on sports, Team Nigeria Rosemary Chukwuma has booked a spot in the semi-finals of the women's 100-meter at the Paris 2024 Olympics. Rosemary secured third position in her first preliminary round of the 100-meter women's race. She came through in third position in a time of 11 minutes 26 seconds, as Dina Asher Smith of the United States second in 11 minutes 1 second, while Eva Swoboda of Poland won the race in a second best of 10 minutes 99 seconds. Now, the women's 100-meter semifinals will be held by 6:30 p.m. on Saturday. And still on the Olympics, Andy Murray's trophy-filled career has come to an end at the Paris Olympics on Thursday as another chapter closed on tennis' golden generation. The former world #1 and 3-time Grand Slam title winner slipped into retirement when he and Dan Evans were defeated in the men's double quarterfinals. The 37-year-old Murray had already announced that the Olympics would be his last event. And that wraps up our bulletin on news now. Many thanks for watching. I'm Tamilore Akinkole. I see you another time.